Good morning, everyone. This is Diane, and I have 4 journals listed in my shop. As soon as this video goes up, they will be there. I have used SweetPeaCuriosities digital kit called Artiste, and there are many fun images of color wheels and paint swatches and art supplies and things like that. And some quotes. So it's a really great kit, and it was fun to work with. And it took me a long time to finish these because I was trying to do some artsy elements. So I used some mixed media supplies and techniques, and yeah, you'll see as we go through. And I used this for the cover. It's one of those padded, craft-colored Amazon envelopes. So I like the way they feel and sound, but obviously I did a lot to them to get them from this to this. So we're going to talk about that. There are different treatments on the different books, so we'll talk about that as we go. I'm not sure about the page count. I was thinking there were maybe 13 folded pages, so it would be 13 times 4, if that's right. This one is tied with a piece of twill trim. There are 2 of them with this, but they're all very similar. They all have a similar tie to them. I left the strings on the outside, so I bound them with brightly colored waxed thread. So how did I get this to look like this? I gessoed it front and back, like this side and this side. I did gesso. I probably didn't need to on this side because I ended up just covering it with paper, but you would have seen the craft right down here, which would have been fine. But I gessoed it because I wasn't sure what I was going to do to the inside. And then on this one, I just applied some paint. And it's a messy look. It wasn't supposed to be like a neat design. It was like an artist playing with colors, swatching colors. So I just did some color strips here, and then I took the tip of my paintbrush and dipped it in the black ink and made dots. And then here I had a stencil with circles, so I just painted through the stencil and then added some designs on top. Stenciled some X's down the edge there. And I used a matte medium to apply this quote, a phrase that I cut out of a magazine. I dream in color. I thought that was very appropriate for this very multicolored journal cover. So it is completely coated with the matte medium, and it's like a Mod Podge sort of thing. You apply it the same way, but it just feels really cool. I really like the way it feels. And then if you can see, there's black stitching all the way around. Again, messy stitching. And that helps hold the edges of the envelope together because it was an envelope that was shipped and opened, and you can see loose edges here. Maybe there would be loose edges here where the package wasn't sealed all the way. This one looks pretty good. But I just sewed all the way around to make sure everything was good and secure. So inside I used the matte medium again to apply scrapbook paper, and then I stamped this on a scrap of scrapbook paper so you can write your name on it. This is the journal that has this multi-layered pocket in the front. Most of them are on a different page near the back, but I'll explain why I didn't put it back there in this one. But this is scrapbook paper here. And I will take all of the things out of the pocket so you can see. It's got 4 pieces of paper that these were cut straight and these were cut angled. And I just colored a marker across the top and stamped this element. Look at art, make art, show art, talk about art, be art. And that is from a Dina Wakley stamp set. And then this is the tag that I made with, I put gesso on the shipping tag and then stamped these circles. It's a Stampin' Up! Set of stamps. And then I colored them with paint. And this border was part of the circle set too. And I thought it turned out really cute. Added some sari silk at the top. I sprayed with different inks and stencils a piece of mixed media paper, and then stamped on it and cut images out. And I just love the way that purple and the green look together. So these get tucked in the pockets. I'm not sure which one that came out of. Put it in there. And then there are some really beautiful elements that come with the kit also from SweetPeaCuriosities. Some tags and different sizes of cards. There are some labels. I have one right here. So I did use at least one in each journal, and some elements to fussy cut. That should have been in one of the books, but I found it when I was tidying up. So apparently it didn't go into one of the books. I'll have to figure out which one it belonged to and try to get it in there. That reminds me, I will be sending some of these extra pieces. I had a few of the digital pieces left because I printed the kit 2 times, and some of the, I think I just printed the kit 2 times. And then there are some leftover scraps and magazine images I'll divide up between the journals so that you can use them to decorate with and journal with. I wanted to cover up this side of the page, most of it. It's stitching, and so I just used a piece of scrapbook paper. Looks like a mixed media. So I used a lot of this set of paper, and I don't remember. Might have been Hobby Lobby, I don't remember. And here's another Dina Wakley stamp. Make art and your soul will listen, and this is one of her stamps. And again, I just stamped that on some card mixed media paper that I had sprayed with different colors of ink. This came out of a vintage art instruction book. So I used quite a few pages from art instruction books, which I have collected over the last few years. And this came from another magazine. This is a stamp that says this way, that way, this way. Kind of reminds me of the Scarecrow, the Wizard of Oz. I had a few pieces from Graphic 45's typography set. So I used some of those that applied to this journal. Creativity is intelligence having fun. Albert Einstein. And I cut this out of a magazine. A painter's very messy palette. Pot of paintbrushes. And I lined it so you can write on the back. And then we made this tag on a video. This is one of the tags that wasn't printed over from the digital kit. It just had the neutral background. So there's a set of 6 decorated tags, like that first one we saw, and then 6 that are plain. So I just stamped on it. Simplicity is its own form of artistry. So all of these are stamps, and we did that on a video. This is one of the elements from the kit, and this is on a kind of a graph paper, but it's weird. It's not a square graph. This is one of the pages from the kit, and I had these other background pages from another Etsy shop that I used various pages on the backs. There are 4 large belly bands and 4 small belly bands in the kit, so each journal got 1 of each. And I printed this page in the wrong format, so it was the wrong size, and so I just cut it, and you can write on that. And this came from a magazine. I love these colorful art supplies, different markers and pens in glass jars. And I added 4 tabs. I stenciled on some of the pages that were white on the back, and again stamped images onto colored papers that I colored with inks. And this is a pocket from the kit, and I border punched this little strip of paper to add to it, and these elements are both from the kit. This piece here is to prevent these from sliding out of this pocket, because they would. I saw that idea in someone's journal, I forgot who, but it was a good idea, and I tried it. This is just a lined paper with some flowers on it. And I stamped on the back, "Imagination is the reality of a dreamer." There's another page from the kit, another pencil drawing art instruction book. So each book has one of those. Each journal has one of these black and white pages. Scrapbook paper and a little border punch piece. This we did on a video. It is a CD envelope, and I inked it just with my makeup brushes, these brushes, and my inks. And I think I used Stampin' Up! Inks, not Distress inks, for all of these. So I just inked color on them and then stamped. This is a border or a background stamp and another Dina Wakley face stamp. And this just has a variety of stamps on it. Plus, oh, I forgot to put a word up there. The other ones have a word or a phrase. I'll have to do that. But I stamped images and cut them out and glued them on too, in addition to just stamping on the envelope. And I love the images that you can see through the window. And this I found on Pinterest and just glued it to a piece of cardstock. I inked the white side of it, and it looks really pretty, but you can write on this side. Again, some more stenciling. There's the flap of the envelope, which I also stamped on. And these are all elements from the digital kit. I love this little row of paints. Now, I only printed the digital kit twice, so 2 of the journals have this image, but I divided all of the pieces up between the 2 journals. This is a vintage grid paper, and it's white on the other side. So I added some washi tape here. This is Jane Davenport washi tape that I've had for a long time. It doesn't work really well. Like, I wanted more of this one, but I was just having such a hard time getting a piece of it off the roll. So I gave up. I have that little piece. This is from the kit. This little piece is from the kit that I added on there, prepared by Winsor & Newton. So I believe that would have been stamped on the back of a canvas. Not a Kansas, a canvas. This is a page from a pretty vintage art instruction book with a palette and different supplies that you would put on your palette. This is paper that I dyed with Rip Dye. And another tab. The kit is beautiful with all of the vibrant paint colors. It's just a really fun kit to play with. This is not part of that kit. It was another background page that I had. And I already talked about the signatures being sewn together in a colorful thread. This is from an art book, just a painting of some flowers. Here's the small belly band, and in here I just included a couple pieces that you can cut up and use in your journal or glue some paper on the back and write on them. This came from a magazine, so you could use either side, and this came from an art instruction book. That was the middle of the signature, so now we're repeating the pages, but different elements. There's something I stamped and a little image that came with the kit. And I stamped this onto a purple dyed paper. You can write on this. I stenciled lightly enough that you can write right over it. We did this pocket in a video. I sprayed my papers with different colors and then tore them to create this double pocket. I mean, it's a single pocket, but it's 2 pieces of the paper, and I stamped on them with 2 different stamps. And I just tucked in this page from the black and white art pencil drawing book. So you can do with this what you would like. You can glue something on there to journal. You can cut images out and use them to decorate. Just write in the white spaces, whatever you want to do with it. I had fun making this pocket, and I explained this in one of the videos where I showed the making of the journal. These are paint swatches, but they're like for house paint, wall paint. They were from home decorating, from Better Homes and Gardens, and I had gotten free magazines from the library, and I cut out every issue had, I don't know how many different colors, 3 or 4 colors, and I cut them out of every issue, and I had enough to make this fun kind of tuck spot there. So this is from an art magazine, art journaling magazine, and I just glued the whole collection down onto cardstock and then cut it out and made a tuck spot. This is a stamp, and then 2 images from the kit and one from the Graphic 45 set. The other journals I'll go through more quickly because you will have already heard the descriptions, but they're all different. They're all very different. This one I had to put a border on it because this edge was white, and I border punched that one, and I really like the way that looks. Here's a fun little girl with her beret and her artist smock on, ready to do some art. And she came with these little words: draw, paint, create, play, and art. Be fearless is one of the Tim Holtz words I stamped on a piece that I had sprayed. This is from the kit, and this is from the kit. This paper is stenciled very lightly. You can hardly see the stencil, but it's got ink rubbed all over it. That's a stamp. And this came from a magazine. These were tags that I colored with the Rit dye and then stamped on them. I did that on a video. And then this is just a piece of leftover cardstock that I rounded the corners and tucked in there for journaling. Stop overthinking, another Tim Holtz word. And this mug full of art writing and drawing supplies, pens and markers. These are both from the kit, and I stamped "Don't forget to play." That came from the same stamp set as this. So this is where the multi-level pocket should have been. That was right in the front, but I did not want to cover those art supplies. I loved that page. So I moved it to the front of the journal in this book. And I like this page too. I couldn't cover either side. This is scrapbook paper with some stamping. I stamped this onto sprayed paper, and I stamped this onto white paper. No, this is stamped onto sprayed paper too. Some of them I colored after I stamped it. And then this was out of an art magazine, art journaling magazine. Both of these and these elements. And I put my signature on the back. And that's that one. I Dream in Color. So this is going to be called Dream in Color in my shop. Now this is the one I had thought I would be keeping, but I decided to just let them all go. Has the same tie. And the cover is completely different from the last time you saw it. I had paint swatches on it, and I really liked the paint swatches. You can see I painted it with yellow paint all over after I gessoed it. And I did paint swatches on the front, and I liked it, except for there were some swatches that I really, really, really did not like. Either the color or the 2 colors together, or and I tried to paint over the color to change the color, and I just wasn't happy with it. And then the last time you saw this cover, I had Mod Podged some little squares of art on top of the swatches I didn't like, and thought it was good. And then the next day I was like, no, it's not good. So I just took these images out of magazines, these 2 images, and this little strip of scrapbook paper, and Mod Podged right over everything I had done except for the border. So the little black dots all around the edge and the triangles here, they're from the original design. And I did some black dots. Well, that's part of the front. And I left the back the way I had started, and it had the gesso on it from when I gessoed the inside cover, and this had already been done, and I didn't realize that the gesso got onto this side and it dried that way. And I just left it because it just looks like an artist's playing around page, which is what it was supposed to look like. Not a completed work of art, but a playing around page. So I just painted these stripes in different colors and then stenciled these other aspects of it. And again, stitched in black thread all around and blue thread. So I'm not sure where this belongs, but I'm sure I will find it. I'm going to glue this. I wasn't sure if this would stick. This was a sticker. I think somebody sent it to me, and it's the Ex Libris book plate, but it has a watercolor palette on it, and I thought it was perfect. So I stuck it on there last night, but since it is Mod Podged, this book is Mod Podged because I ran out of the matte medium. But like I said, I use them the same way and really can't tell that much difference. But I figured it wouldn't stick. So we will stick it down. And then you'd probably have to use a Sharpie or something like that to write your name on it because it's glossy. I love this page. I was talking about the mixed media cardstock pages that I used, and I love this page because it has numbers on it. I love numbers. Here's a pocket made from an image from an art journaling magazine or something like that. And you might notice, I know you could notice the H, but you might not know that that's a D there. So it was a page full of artistic alphabets and numbers. And I put my initials on it, but it's not that noticeable. The D's not noticeable. And you could cover that if you don't want the H, but it's just a decorative element. This came out of an art journaling magazine. And this came out of, some of the magazine pages came from Uppercase magazine. I've talked about that before. And there's the tag. They all have the same tag. There's a little graphic 45 embellishment there. This one has this color chart that I got from Pinterest years and years and years ago. And I've had it printed out for a long time. I cut it in half and added it to 2 of the journals. This is Stampin' Up! Paper that has artists' supplies like brushes and palette knives. This came out of an art instruction book. It's a sketch of a dancer, and I backed it with lined paper so you can write on it, and you can also see another sketch on the back. A couple of elements in there. I love this page with the artist supplies drawn on there. There's the envelope. See, it has a word up there, or a phrase. This is from Graphic 45. It says, "Draw outside the lines." This came out of a magazine. Art instruction book. Oh, that's where this came from. So it's again lined with lined paper so you can write on it. There's a color wheel that came from a vintage magazine. Again, the paint swatches with this little half circle that came out of a art journaling magazine, and then these are elements from the kit. And there's a stamped image up there. The same little artist girl and the same words. This was a piece out of one of the big art instruction books, and I loved it so much. I couldn't glue it down the way it would have been in the book with this flat edge down here because it would have angled it and it wouldn't fit. So I just put it on that way. And this is something you can cut up and use. I would cut these out and use them as elements in the journal. I glued this to cardstock and then cut it out. I just think it's really fun. And there's a paintbrush that I cut out of a magazine. Look at all the colors on that paintbrush. Here's the multi-layer pocket. This is where it is in all of the rest of the journals. Some digital elements and some stamped elements. This is one I stamped on the page and then colored with ink. And she came from an art journaling magazine, but she looks like she belongs right there, doesn't she? And here's this tag with my signature on the back. I don't have a name for this one, but I'll think of a name. You'll see it. They'll all have separate listings, so you'll just see the picture, but I'll have a name on it. I better put the cap on my glue. This says, art washes from the soul, the dust of everyday life. This tie it came around something that I purchased. I didn't cut it at all. Or maybe I cut it previously, another time. But this is what I had in my stash, and it's nice, soft. This one is stiffer. This one is soft. I don't know what it came on, I don't remember. But I thought those kinds of ties were perfect for these art journals. Now, we had some issues with this one in the journal, in the video that you would have seen yesterday about finishing the covers, because when I went to put the matte medium on there, I had sprayed instead of painted this one. I gessoed it and then sprayed it through stencils, and it was so pretty, and it had blues and greens and and a yellow green. And then I added some black accents. And when I started to put the matte medium on there, everything smeared. Black was everywhere. So I took a baby wipe and just wiped it all off. But it stained it. And I really, really like the way it looks. I liked it better this way with just the subtle hints of black. You can see the speckles there. I couldn't have done this on purpose. But I really liked it. So I went ahead with it and then Mod Podged this part on. I used the matte medium. And that is from Graphic 45. And it says, art washes from the soul the dust of everyday life. So I think I'll call this journal Everyday Life. And I like this page too. It's just a scrap. You can do what you want to with it. Use it as a journaling card or cut it up. This is a card that came with my uppercase magazine, or it came in that book. Probably came with one of the magazines. Here's one of the fussy cuts from the kit. This one has a couple pieces you can cut up. You could glue paper to the back to write on. And this is from a vintage magazine, so I don't know if these are makeup colors. I think they're makeup colors, but I thought they looked good in this magazine, or in this journal. Looks like a color swatch. Well, it is a color swatch. So there are two sizes of these corner pockets, so 2 large and 2 small. So this journal got one of the small ones, but the border punch that I added, the piece of cardstock, helps make it a little bigger. Love this page from an art instruction book. Has Japanese art on the back. That is a fussy cut from the kit. It's from a magazine. I think 2 of the journals have these reddish color pages and 2 have yellow, or 3 have yellow and this is the only one with red. I can't remember, but they are all pages that are dyed with the RIT dye, fabric dye. This is from that artistic alphabet page. I loved this one. And I didn't back it with anything. I just left it so you can play with it however you want. I was filling the pockets and doing all the final things last night, and it took so much longer than I expected it to. There's some of those elements. Here's the paint swatch tuck spot. This came out of an art journaling magazine. I just think these are so fun. Beautiful colors, and the images of the art supplies are just inspiring. I think when you see images, well, I know it goes in there because it was in there. I'll have to do that in a minute. When you see the images of art supplies, does it make you feel like you want to get yours out and play with them? I backed this circle with cardstock. Came out of a magazine. There's a little face in there. And if you're intimidated by doing art, I was intimidated to get started on these journals, I'll tell you. But remember that. Start somewhere. Just start. This one has a card from Graphic 45, and I love this piece. It's from that scrapbook paper that looks like mixed media. I just love the color and the very fine grid on it and the way it's all blended. So everyday life. And then this one, I told you I was going to make a new cover because I had sprayed it and then realized by doing the other one that that spray was going to wash off. But I went ahead and wiped it down with a baby wipe anyway, and I really liked the way that one looked. I liked it much better this way than the way I showed it to you because the purple was way too bright. And I really like it this way. So that was very serendipitous. This has a bright pink thread. And then I just accented that brightness with black and white. To draw, you must close your eyes and sing. Pablo Picasso. And this came out of a magazine, and I thought that could be, you know, him waiting for his paintbrush or his drawing pencil, or holding up his hand while he's singing. Whatever. I just thought they looked cute together. Stamp this on cardstock scrap. Here's another piece of that page that I just showed you that I love with the fine grid. It's another portion of that page. So all of these pockets that you see near the beginning of the book, journals, they're from art magazines. That's just a scrap of cardstock. You can write on the back. Here's the other half of that page I got from Pinterest. And again, a page you can see. Some of them I backed with paper to write on, and then it was getting late. I was tired. I was like, well, they can just do what they want with them. I just started sticking stuff in the pockets. I love this art journal page. And I love this. This one has purple. I did that one on camera. This one, this was just a little extra piece I had as I was going through doing the final touches, trying to use up some of the pieces. So I just glued it down there. Probably have to put a paper clip to hold that in. That's from the kit. I guess 3 of them had the yellow pages, but some of the red got onto some of the pages, which I like. I like this image from an art magazine. I didn't want to cover that one up. And the same with this. It has art on both sides. So you can do what you like with them. And this one has a color wheel. There were only 2 of the circles left. The other ones I think got 3 of the circles, but I used a bigger piece here. This is a very colorful page. I think it looks great. This is a fun element from, I think, from the Uppercase magazine. Lots and lots of art tools. It was a row of 4 jars, and I cut one off, and you saw it in a previous journal. Creativity takes courage. Henri Matisse. It does take courage, because you want your things to look like somebody else's, but they're not going to, no matter how hard you try. You just have to be creative in your own style. This is a card tag that we made in a previous video. I think it was my last Tag Tuesday video. And this was stamped separately onto green paper and then glued on, and I like the way that turned out. She came from an art magazine. And this is in the back. It has the other piece of the digital kit that was printed in the wrong size. So there we go. These are all in my shop. This is called Close Your Eyes. Everyday Life. And I love the way these feel. That coating on there, the Mod Podge or the matte medium, makes it almost feel like a plastic coating. They probably are like a plastic element, but leathery and plasticky at the same time. Does that make sense? You'll see when you buy yours and hold it in your hand. What did I say? I didn't have a name for that yet. And Dream in Color. I hope you like these. I hope you enjoyed the process, even if you're not interested in making a purchase. I hope you will go back and watch the videos if you haven't seen them, and just have fun playing along with me. It was so much fun to do. I made a great big huge mess, and I'm glad I've got it all cleaned up at this point. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Have a creative day today. Bye bye.